of noise, color, and there was a under the lights of Guangzhou, the world seemed to hold its breath. The stadium was a blur of noise, color, and anticipation, but in the center of it all stood one girl, calm as a still ocean before a storm. Alex Eala. She wasn't just playing tennis. She was carrying a nation's heartbeat. Every serve, every breath, every swing of her racket echoed with the hopes of millions who saw themselves in her story, the dreamers. The underdogs, the believers who had been told they'd never make it. She had fought her way here, to the semi-final of the Guangjo Open. Not through luck, but through grit, grace, and something deeper, an unshakable belief that her story was only beginning. And yet, fate has a way of testing those who dream too big. Because that night, destiny decided to ask her a question: how much can one heart carry before it breaks? Long before the cheers, before the cameras, there was a quiet girl in Manila with a racket that was too big for her hands and a dream that was too heavy for her age, while other kids played in the streets. Alex was out on cracked concrete courts under the tropical sun, hitting ball after ball until the blisters bled. She didn't have the perfect facilities or endless sponsors. She had something rarer, a fire that refused to go out. Her parents weren't chasing fame. They were chasing faith, the faith that effort, discipline, and purpose could build a bridge to places no Filipino athlete had gone before. Every dawn run, every late-night drill, every moment of exhaustion carved something permanent in her spirit, resilience. Coaches whispered about her focus. She's different, they said. She doesn't just play the ball, she reads its soul. By 13, she was already facing players twice her size and never blinking. By 16, she was making headlines across Asia. But what really set her apart wasn't talent. It was silence. While others shouted and celebrated, Alex listened to the sound of her breath, the rhythm of her heartbeat, the pulse of the game. That silence became her weapon. It was calm in chaos. It was focus in noise. It was strength wrapped in grace. And that same silence would follow her to the biggest stages of her life. The world began to take notice. Her name, Eala, started appearing in international draws, whispered in locker rooms, printed in headlines across sports pages. The girl from Manila, they called her, often with surprise, as if brilliance wasn't supposed to come from where she came from. But Alex didn't care about where people thought she belonged. She was too busy earning her place. In Europe, she trained far from home, surrounded by players who had been born into tennis royalty. She had no famous last name, no elite lineage, just a racket, a dream, and that relentless heartbeat of purpose. She learned fast, adapted faster. Every defeat became a lesson, every victory a reminder that she could go toe-to-toe with the best. When she won her first international title, she didn't scream. She simply looked up, smiled, and whispered something only she could hear, a quiet thank you to the little girl who never stopped swinging. But success comes with weight. Suddenly, people expected her to win every time. The pressure didn't come from the crowd. It came from inside, that unspoken vow to never let her country down, and that's what made the Guangzhou Open different. This wasn't just another tournament. It was the proving ground, the place where she could show the world that heart could outshine history. The quarter-final match felt like a movie written in adrenaline. Alex and her doubles partner, Nadia Kino, walked onto the court with quiet determination. Their opponents were taller, ranked higher, louder. But experience doesn't always beat hunger. From the very first rally, Alex's rhythm was poetry in motion. Her footwork was precise. Her eyes never wavered. Every return was clean, confident, deliberate. It wasn't just technique, it was emotion sculpted into movement. The crowd started to lean forward after every point. A soft murmur ran through the stands. Who is this girl? The scoreboard told one story, 6-3, but the court told another. Alex and Nadia weren't just winning points. They were taking control of the narrative. Then came the second set and the real battle began. Their opponents fought back hard, serving with venom, firing shots into the corners, trying to break their rhythm. But Alex never flinched. Between points, she'd whisper something under her breath, words no one could hear but everyone could feel. It wasn't frustration. It was defiance. Down 4-5, they faced a crucial service game. The pressure was suffocating, but instead of cracking, Alex smiled. A small, almost imperceptible smile that said, "I've been here before." She served an ace. Then another, broke back. And in a blur of rallies that felt eternal, she and Nadia sealed the set 7-5. The crowd erupted. Commentators called it fearless, brilliant, ice cold. But for Alex, it wasn't about the praise. It was about the feeling that she truly belonged here, not as a guest, but as a contender. That quarterfinal wasn't a victory. It was a declaration. I am here, and I'm not leaving. The semi-final Guangzhou Open, under bright lights and louder expectations. The air was heavier that night. The crowd was larger, restless, eager for history. Alex walked out with the same calm she'd carried her whole career. Focused, grounded, silent. The first set was a war. Rally after rally stretched into minutes, both teams refusing to blink. It wasn't just tennis. It was endurance, emotion, and instinct fused into one. The tea break came. Every point drew gasps. 6-6, then 7-6. Alex and Nadia snatched the first set and the crowd roared like thunder. But momentum is a fickle friend. In the second set, things shifted. Shots that once painted the lines now went wide. The rhythm faltered. The opponents grew bolder, swinging freely, smelling doubt in the air. 3-6. Set lost. Now it came down to the final stretch, a super tea break to 10. 10 points to decide everything. 10 points to decide whether Alex's dream would live or pause. The rallies were brutal. Sweat, grit, fire, every point a test of will. Alex bent low for impossible returns, chased down balls that seemed unreachable, shouted after every winner with that trademark spark. But tennis, like life, can be cruel. A single net cord, a missed line, and suddenly it was over. 10-5. The opponents raised their arms. The crowd exhaled. And in the middle of the court stood Alex Eala, chest rising, eyes wet, heart still burning. She shook hands, smiled faintly, and walked off the court with grace. Because she knew this wasn't the end. It was a chapter, a painful, necessary chapter. The kind every champion must face before greatness finds them. The noise faded. The crowd's cheers turned into whispers. Cameras shut off, and all that remained was the quiet hum of a stadium slowly emptying. In that silence, Alex sat alone for a moment, head bowed, racket resting across her knees. Not in defeat but in reflection, because sometimes silence says what words never can. For most players, a loss like this cuts deep. It stings, it bruises, it breaks confidence. But Alex wasn't like most players. She didn't let pain consume her. She studied it. Every misstep became a map. Every failure a teacher. As she walked through the tunnel that night, her steps were steady, her eyes focused. No slammed rackets, no angry outbursts. Just calm. That same quiet calm that had carried her from Manila's sunlit courts to the global stage. The cameras caught a brief moment, Alex glancing back at the court one last time before disappearing into the tunnel. A look that said, "I'll be back." What people often forget is that greatness isn't defined by the number of trophies on your shelf. It's defined by how you carry yourself when the lights go out. For Alex, the match wasn't about statistics. It was about identity. She had proven that a girl from Southeast Asia, with no legacy to lean on, could go toe-to-toe with the world's elite. In a sport long dominated by giant nations with endless resources and generations of champions. Alex was rewriting the script. Every serve she hit wasn't just for herself. It was for the kids in Manila who played barefoot in the rain. For the mothers who worked double shifts so their children could dream. For the fathers who stayed up at dawn just to watch a live stream of their daughter's match halfway across the world. That's the weight she carries, and she carries it with grace. When she wins, she celebrates quietly. When she loses, she learns loudly. That's the difference. That's what separates the ones who play for glory from the ones who play for purpose. Every champion has that one night that changes everything, the night where victory slips away, but wisdom stays. For Alex, that semi-final was the moment the story shifted. In the days after Guangzhou, she didn't disappear. She trained harder. Sunrise to sunset, the same fire burned. Coaches said she looked sharper. Teammates said her eyes had changed calmer, more focused, but somehow brighter. She began studying herself, old matches, old habits, every swing and breath, not to relive the loss, but to understand it, because true athletes don't fear the past. They use it as fuel. In interviews, when asked about the defeat, she only smiled and said, "You can't lose what's meant for you. You just need to be ready when it comes back." That sentence alone told the world everything about her mindset. She wasn't chasing revenge. She was chasing growth.